Hello, it's another Friday and you're welcome to the Premier League preview show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Carr. This is the perfect companion to Citi FM's coverage of the Premier League live on radio. So this is the show that helps you get ready for an exciting match week. It's been a very peculiar 2 weeks of the Premier League. We'll get into why in a few minutes, but the games are still happening. Not everybody is playing. Some teams are playing this weekend. Some teams played last weekend. And so another set to be featuring this weekend. All of that, of course, while the AFCON is also happening. So some Premier League clubs will be keeping an eye out for their players who are playing in the AFCON in Cote d'Ivoire. So it promises to be a very exciting show for today. If you have anything to tell us, send us your comments on the WhatsApp number on your screen, and we'll go through as many of those thoughts as possible. We'll take a very quick break. When we come back, I'll introduce my guests and we get the show off the ground. This is the Premier League preview show on Citi TV. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is the Premier League preview show on Citi TV. Let me introduce my wingman for today. We had to make a quick change. You know, when players get injured in the warm-up, you have to draft somebody. So, yeah, we didn't have a warm-up, but yeah, we had to draft my colleague, Kelvin Edem Kanye. Kelvin, how are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Thank you so much for saving the show. And Sydney Antonio, Sydney, how are you doing?
I'm great as always.
All right. Let's get into the fixtures for the second part of match week 21, I believe.
Yes,
21. So it's a reduced match week. There you have it. Some teams played last week, others are playing this week. You've got Arsenal versus Crystal Palace, and then Brentford versus Nottingham Forest. So the first game, 12:30, second game, 5:30 p.m. on Saturday. On Sunday, it's Sheffield United versus West Ham at 2 p.m. and Bournemouth versus Liverpool. Bournemouth versus Liverpool at 4 p.m. And then on Monday night, it's Brighton versus Wolves. Brighton versus Wolves. Quite interesting. There, some of the fixtures may not be eye-popping, they may not be eye-catching, but expect great football to take place in the second half of match week 21. 10 teams in action there. All right, let's start off with Arsenal, and they are playing this weekend. They are at home. Arsenal have had to endure a very, very, very tough time, and they take on Crystal Palace. Let's see Arsenal's last game. This was very late or very early in the year. I'm not too sure about the date or the day, but this was when they traveled to Fulham. Let's see how Arsenal looked the last time we all saw them in the Premier League. Lost in that game by 2-1. They traveled away from home to take on another side in London, and they have to do another of those games when they take on Crystal Palace in this weekend's encounter. Sidney, let me start off with you. It's been a last about a month or so that's been a little complicated for us. Now, some of the results have not been good at all, and they are hoping that they can catch up. They've kind of fallen off slightly. How should they approach this? Do they have enough to go past Crystal Palace this weekend?
They should. But before I go there, let me just say that I don't think I'm a big fan of this new 10-game thing. It's like a hungry man. I give him Gary. You know, we want the food. We want to be entertained. And I understand the rationale behind it and all that. But,
yeah, but
well, let's see how it goes.
Some teams had their break,
and
are now playing. Yeah. Others have played and are now going on a break.
Well, yeah. But give everybody a break and everybody come back and let's feel the intensity of the Premier League. But that's a topic for another day. So, with respect to Arsenal, this was supposed to be their year. I mean, this was supposed to be the year they could grab the bull by the horn and actually go a step forward from last season. We saw what they did last season. They were very strong. They just faltered getting to the end of the season. And one would have expected that with their summer reinforcements, that this year would have been a year that they would have, gone a step above and actually put a solid claim to the title this year. So their recent performances are not stuff you expect from a team that is serious on unseating a behemoth like Man City. Man City are a team that don't leave any stone unturned. They go pedal to the medal, like they are going for it. And when you are losing, you are dropping points against the likes of Fulham, and teams are not expected to drop points again. It's a bit worrisome. And I remember some months back, we had a debate about Kai Havertz's role in the team and all that.
Yes.
I remember points were made that this Kai Havertz guy, are we sure he can take Arsenal to a different dimension? Are we sure he can bring something new to them? And to be fair to him, he has popped up with some important goals. He has had a few good moments and everything. But coming in to replace a stalwart like Granit Xhaka, his position, his influence, his leadership in the team. And I think you are seeing some remnants of his disappearance from the team, because this is a guy who, I mean, the fans, he had this on and off relationship with the fans, but when he was on it, he was on it. He was popping up with goals, he was solidifying the midfield, he was doing that box-to-box role. And you bring in, I don't think they have quite found the balance quite right yet, because even when they were doing well earlier on in the season, you could see that there was something missing. They were not able to beat teams so convincingly as they used to. They were getting the 1-0, the 2-1, the 2-0, the 3-1, 3-2, etc. And one would have hoped that they would have built from last season, where you could actually feel their dominance on teams. You could feel them strangling teams to death and asserting themselves to the opposition. But we're not seeing that in the last few weeks. We have really actually seen them dropping points, losing uncharacteristic games and all that. So coming against Crystal Palace is a London derby, of course, South versus North. Crystal Palace have a very solid team, a very youthful team, a very exuberant team. The likes of Michael Olise, who can on their day, they can be a handful for anybody. I quite remember when Crystal Palace took on Chelsea at the Stamford Bridge. That was a game to remember for Michael Olise. He had Levi Colwill on toast. Colwill couldn't live with him, cutting in, going to the outside, getting the cross in, and I think he even got a goal,
he got a goal
in the game. So it just goes to show you the quality of opposition Arsenal be facing. And if they are to hope to put their recent bad form aside and actually get back to the agenda of putting pressure on Man City and eventually getting their first title since 2004, 2003, I think they have to show something. They have to look within themselves and bring out what we know is in there. I know Arsenal fans are desperately hoping, they are clinging to the hope that the team will show up. Because this league this season, Arsenal was supposed to be Arsenal and Man City, but we have seen the re-emergence of Liverpool. Yeah. We have seen Aston Villa pulling a cat out of the bag over there. So if Arsenal are to go for it, I think it has to start this weekend. Okay. They have to make this game. They have to cross a line under this game. Things haven't gone on well, but it's a new year. They can always build on. So they have to cross a line underneath their past games and make sure that from now on they're going to make their title charge. Interesting.
Adam, let me get your thoughts on Arsenal. Sydney makes a point, and he says Arsenal need to get things going from this weekend. But we've seen Arsenal struggles. Players have not delivered. They haven't scored goals. What can they do? Is it time to bring somebody in to start to give them goals?
I mean, that's the best option. I think they do need a striker. They need a gunman. I think enough has been said about the fact that they are not efficient in front of goal. He made a point about this being the game Arsenal needs to use to start the game one, and I feel it's very important for them to do so in this game because it's a London derby. There's no bigger stage than London derbies. Okay. Their last 5 games in the Premier League haven't gone too well. Yeah. It's important to start the season, this part of the season right, because we are getting to the business end of the season. They need to stamp the authority on a game like this. And with Crystal Palace too, just losing in the FA Cup to Everton, it's a perfect time to face them. Considering the fact that Arsenal too haven't been in great form themselves. So this is a game that they have to look at, okay, we want to start this end of the season with business. Like, we have to close this game out and see it out. It shouldn't be one of those games where they start, they dominate, they score a goal or two and just take their foot off the pedal. They have to go for it and make sure they get the results because City are coming. And we know that at every point in the season, City put together a string of games where they don't lose. And it seems that like those string of games are coming. So Arsenal will have to be at their best in this London derby.
So just finally, let's talk a bit about Crystal Palace. They were... I laugh because it's interesting. They had an FA Cup replay and it was almost forgotten. Almost everybody.
I mean, the African Cup is going.
I get it. Everybody forgot they had, but it wasn't the most exciting. It was a very boring game. Yeah. They lost that. The last few months have looked really strange for Palace. It's almost like they're in this free fall where they are not winning games, but they've backed up so many points from the early parts of the season. They seem to be fine. If they can trouble Arsenal, how can they do so this weekend?
So we are looking at an Arsenal side way short of confidence right now, short on confidence right now. And an Arsenal side who they don't like to be roughed up. they like the sweet stuff when it comes to football. Although I will give them credit that over the course of the season, they have shown that physical edge, but I still do believe that very physical teams do get the best out of them. And we have the Crystal Palace side, who is a part where they excel. They have the likes of Mateta, who is a handful on his day, the likes of Eze, with his pace, with his dynamism. He can always surge in front. You have the likes of this different McGuihi over there, very strong guy over there. We have Anderson, another tough guy over there. So these are the areas I'll look. I think they have to come in the mindset of trying to bully us now. Because if you are going to just come in the mindset, maybe you are just going to hang back and wait for them to come on us and stuff, you are going to drink the goals. Because you're not in the best of form yourself. And looking at the players they have available, I mean, they are shown of the service of the mercurial Jordan Ayew, who is not going to be there for them. But they have... Who
hasn't scored double figures in God knows how long.
but they do have very competent players. And I think their best policy is to go on the attack. If they can get behind Zinchenko, because over the past couple of years, you can see that Zinchenko, I mean, a lot was made of his dual position, coming into midfield and stuff, but we are seeing that although it's something that helps us, it's also a chink in their armor if you can get behind him and if you can exploit the space he leaves, because Gabriel Magalhaes is supposed to cover that side. He's not the quickest, so if you're able to capitalize over there, and interesting, that's where Olise will be operating. Olise, who I've already pointed, I think he's one of my guys to watch in this game, because if he's on it, if he can couple that defensive output with what we know he can do attacking wise, I think this will be a game where he can feast. He can feast in the game, all things being equal.
I see. And then just finally, in just a few words, how long are Palace going to hold on to Olise for? The birds, the hunters were circling a few months ago.
I think this summer. I think this summer is the most they'll get out of him. I don't see him staying at Palace past this summer.
Okay.
Maybe because of the recent injury, some teams might look and see maybe they want to see. So let's peg it at by January next season. By January next season, I don't think he'll be a Palace player, because the quality he's been showing in the league is very evident. A lot of teams are looking at it, and a lot of them would like to have a profile like that in their squad.
I see. I know one club who died to have a left-footed winger who can actually deliver. All right, let's talk about Liverpool. Liverpool will take on Bournemouth. Now, Liverpool don't have Mo Salah. He's gone to the AFCON. I think it's their first game without him. Okay, so I'm sure they were watching the Egypt-Ghana game. They must have been very concerned that he went down with a hamstring injury. Let's see Liverpool's last outing in the league. They took on Newcastle in the Premier League, and then we can talk about how their game with Bournemouth will potentially turn out. All right, so exciting encounter between Liverpool and Newcastle. This weekend they are on the road. They go to Bournemouth, who are in form and have, you can argue, the hottest forward in the league, Dominic Solanke. Some people think that he's not hot, but I think this season he's played very, very, very well. He was December's player of the month, I believe. So he's done really well there. So let me start off with you. It's Liverpool's first game without Mo Salah. I don't think the question should be, can they win without him? I think they can, but will it be easy or difficult?
I don't think it will be easy. Mo Salah, we all know his status in the Liverpool team. We all know how important he is for both the attacking output and also defensively. People don't give him much credit, but it's also one of the big factors why they are so compact, because he's always willing to put in those yards to come back and help. So their first Premier League game without him, Liverpool fans will be looking anxiously. I'm sure they were all watching yesterday the Battle of the Moors. The Ghanaian Mo came out on top. But Mo Salah, we just hope that his injury was not too serious and he won't spend too long on the sidelines. But looking at tomorrow's game, I don't think it will be easy for Liverpool. Bournemouth have shown that they have some backbone, some spine to them. I would admit, when I think we're here some months back, we're talking about Andoni Iraola, and at that point in time, it didn't seem as if he was going somewhere. And I made a statement that I don't think he was meant for the Premier League. So that's it's my humble pie, because the guy he's doing a lot of good job. Really good and since the upturn in form, we've all been looking for that point where it will all crumble down for them. That point where they revert to their old ways, but they just keep on going from strength to strength. And apart from the game against Tottenham, where they lost 3-1 recently, They have won almost all the games. They came from 2 goals down in the FA Cup away at Queen's Park Rangers the other day. And they are showing that apart from their first team, everybody who comes in the team can come and put something inside. When you put Sinistera in, he comes to do something. When you put in Kluivert, he comes to do something. When you bring on Danish guy, the tall guy from the bench, he comes. Philip Billing. He comes to impact positively. So they have a lot of dimensions which they play. They can play the sweet ball. They can hoof it up to Solanke. And Solanke is showing this season that he's not just your typical number 9 who just holds up play and brings others to it. He draws defenders out wide. He splits defenses, and he's showing a clinical edge. He's showing the promise that was seen in his early days at Liverpool. At Chelsea, which convinced Liverpool to part a huge amount of money to bring him to Anfield. It didn't work out for him there. He's been looking for a home. He's been looking for somewhere he can sink his feet in and get the job done. And it looks as if under Andoni Iraola, he's finding the home he has so long wanted to have. Okay. So I think tomorrow it will be interesting to see the battle between him and Van Dijk. I don't know if Arnold will play, Alexander-Arnold. I think he had a knock after the game against Arsenal in the FA Cup. I don't know if he'll be back, but if he's not going to be back, it's going to hamper Liverpool because I think they have to put their best foot forward, looking at how good Bournemouth has been, looking at how intimate Bournemouth's ground is. Sometimes coming to these old intimate grounds, it's not easy to come and impose yourself. We saw Liverpool struggle up at Luton. They had to escape with the skin of their teeth with their last-minute equalizer from Luis Diaz there. So it just goes to show you if the smaller team have a set way of playing, if they have a good strategy backed by their Bain home fans, they can do something. Bournemouth are in the position where they have been performing very well recently, so they have a lot in their favour. And if Liverpool don't put their best foot forward, I think this game, the win may elude them. All
right, Adam, let's talk about Liverpool. Possible selection choices that club can make. Mo Salah is obviously out. If you were him, what kind of attacking components would you put together, looking at what he has available?
He has to work with Jota, Gakpo and Nunes, and hope they can give him the goods on this day. With how important Mo Salah is and him being away, this will be the time for the players and the Liverpool team to stake their claim that they can be the next person who can be the one to take the mantle of responsibility when it comes to leading the line in this team. Mo Salah has done so well, consistently putting up numbers, and his time in the Premier League is nearing an end, whether we like it or not. He's at the tail end of his career, and he's still doing these amazing things. So I'm looking forward to people like Nunes, people like Jota especially, because he's supposed to be the striker amongst the pair, and he's the one who is supposed to be like the most lethal finisher amongst them. Nunes is very on and off with his finishing. He can score a goal that you deem very, very difficult and miss the easy chance. So I'm looking for players like that to step forward. They'll need players to step up because Mo has picked up an injury to the AFCON, and as of now, we don't know how serious that injury is. That should serve as motivation for the players. They should go into that game thinking that Mo isn't here. I should do this for the team. I can be that guy today. So that's what I'll need from the Liverpool attackers. And Klopp, I want him to line up with Nunes down the middle and to push, how do we call it, Gakpo into his preferred position, that is on the left.
On the left.
Yeah, and that can work for Liverpool.
Interesting stuff. Sydney, you mentioned the battle between Dom Solanke and Virgil van Dijk. Now, for either player to win, what must happen? So if Dominic Solanke will succeed in that battle, how should he approach it? And if Virgil van Dijk has to win, how should he approach a player who's very confident like Dominic Solanke?
Well, let's not forget, Virgil van Dijk is also a player who is very self-confident in his own abilities. A player who came within the hair's breadth of being named the Ballon d'Or winner. And I believe he has a lot of confidence in his own abilities. But he's coming up against a guy who is on a hot streak. He's on hot form, and who seems to have his team supplying him, surrounding him. Now, they have been together for a while now. They know his game. They know where he needs the ball. They know how quickly he needs the ball, and they know in what areas to put the ball. So for Solanke to actually thrive in this game, he shouldn't shy away from the battle, because sometimes you come up against, I mean, Vojova, like he's a huge unit. You come up against something like that, and you want to be a bit cute, you want to be a bit nifty, you want to move up, shy away from it, and see if you can put yourself on the other defender, see if you can get more change out of him. But I believe when that happens, already you're losing the mental battle, because when you come into football games like this, it's not just the physical, there's emotional aspect, there's mental aspects. You come in with the attitude or the mindset of a killer, which is what Mourinho always said Drogba used to have. Doesn't matter who he's going to face, Drogba is coming with the mindset that I'm coming to demolish this guy. And that's the mindset Sri Lanka needs to have, because he's doing what he's near the top. I think he's top 5 top scorer this season. Yeah. He's proven himself. And he's somebody who had huge pedigree at the youth stages. So he's not somebody who is not known to us. He's somebody who we have seen grow up, who we watched. I came across a stat last time when, in his time at Chelsea, the youth team, he and Tammy Abraham, for one season, they combined for about 60 goals. They're the two of them. They were just tearing everybody apart. And it's just been sad that he hasn't taken it up. But at least we are seeing the re-emergence of Dominic Solanke. So I just think it has to be a mental thing, because he has the ability, he has the capability to actually worry Van Dijk. We saw the highlights there against Newcastle. We saw what Isak was doing. We saw, we have seen, Isak will worry them a bit. We saw against Fulham in the FA Cup, where they had to come back from a goal behind to get 2 goals. And we saw the striker, I think it was Jimenez in the game, also posing a problem for the Liverpool backline there. So it's not an infallible team. There are holes to be punched, there are gaps inside there, and it's just up to him to believe in himself that he can actually get something. And for Van Dijk, I wouldn't expect him to do much different from what he does, because he doesn't commit. I think that's really crucial, because we are seeing Solanke.
Some people believe that it's a bit of a flaw on Van Dijk's side, this lack of engagement, because people are used to defenders running into strikers,
I think that allows him to anticipate what you do better. Instead of lunging into the tackle, he observes you to see what you probably do with the ball. And that makes his tackles more clean. Like, he can get a cleaner shot that gets in the ball than to just lunge in. So, I mean, I see it differently from the way most people see it. It gives him, like, the best possible solution to the situation. If he reads the game, instead of just lunging in, he can make the tackle that will be right for the moment. Sometimes, instead of defenders just go into the tackle and they cause, like, nasty accidents, and sometimes it results in cards. But Van Dijk will rather just read the game and see what you're about to do and anticipate that. I think it's a better way of approaching defending.
All right, so finally, I think we don't know the status of Trent Alexander-Arnold. Yeah. So Joe Gomez, right back, possibly?
Possibly. But I think I've seen the emergence of a young guy. I think his name is Kate Gordon at Liverpool. I saw him in the FA Cup. He looked very competent. Yes. I think he came on in the game against Arsenal. And he played in the Fulham game as well. Really so he's looking good. I mean, is it too soon to put him in? I don't think so, because he's shown that he has the capability. Joe Gomez, we all know the infamous stats. His whole career, not a single goal from Joe Gomez.
But I mean, if Joe Gomez is put at that position, they won't ask him to do the things Trent typically do in the squad. Yeah. So I think it's to bring a different dimension to Liverpool's play. But then Trent will be a huge miss for Liverpool, because with Salah gone, he's somebody who would have stepped into that position creatively for Liverpool to make things happen with his passing ability. We've all seen what he has done to defenses this season when he's been given the opportunity. He can play one pass that can split the defense open. So that would be a huge miss for Liverpool.
Let's just wrap it up on the Trent Alexander-Arnold thing. And ever since the experiment started, I've heard several people say that Trent is eventually going to end up as a midfielder. I don't know what you make of that, Sydney. Do you think he will become a midfielder?
I don't think he would. I think he is where he's supposed to be. You know, a lot is made of his incompetence in one-on-one defending and all that. But I think he's a world-class player. I mean, Trent is one of the best players we have in the world. Okay. His technical quality is off the chain, and he's really good. And I think where he is also inures to his benefits, because if you're in the midfield, the hot midfield, where you are easily closed down, where everybody's onto you when you have the ball, you are easily marked. But coming from the right back position, nobody thinks to mark a right back. So it actually creates that, affords you that kind of space. Okay. And the space Trent always craves. He can always create from there, the long balls, the crosses, the passes, and the goals. And it all comes from his withdrawn position. We used to see it with Lampard, always coming from deep where he's not being marked. And I think we can see the similar thing in Trent. Put him in the midfield, it's easier to put a man on him, to follow him, Mourinho style, follow him around the pitch and just spoil his game. But from where he's coming from, I think it's good for him.
Adam, you?
I feel the same. If he's moved to midfield, I feel like it's exposed his defensive inabilities. So I feel like using him the way they use him brings that element of surprise that people don't expect. So I would love to see more of this. I think transitioning him to a full-time central midfielder will be a bit problematic. I think you have to compensate too much in the team for him not being that great defensively. And in the midfield, you need people who can do that job around the 90, and will Trent be able to do that when he's attacking at the same time? I don't think so. So I think using him the way he's being used now is the best. Okay,
we'll find out if Trent will make a return, and we'll see what Liverpool does. We'll also see what Dom Solanke and Andoni Raiola or Bournemouth will do to handle the threat of Liverpool this weekend in the Premier League. We'll take a very quick break. When we come back, we have a lot more. We'll do one game on our hopper, and then we get into the debate today. A very interesting topic for you, lined up for a little later on in the show. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. This is the Premier League Preview Show. Welcome back. This is the Premier League Preview Show on Citi TV. My guests, Kelvin Edem Kai and Sydney Antonio. Let's get to the last game of our hop around. It's a game between Wolves and Brighton. Quite interesting. Like I said, how these fixtures may not... Wolves and Everton, I'm told there, but it may not jump out at you and all of that, but sometimes some of these games are very, very exciting. Let's see the last time Wolves played in the league. Let's see how they looked, and then we can come back and analyze their forthcoming game this weekend. All right, so that was Wolves versus Everton. So, yeah, I was right. It was Wolves and Brighton. Apologies for that mix-up there. Guys, Wolves picked up an FA Cup win during the week. Dreary game, yeah, but they won. Brighton, it started well this season. It kind of went this way, that way. They've been trying to bring it back together. But it's at the Amex. Brighton are at home. Adam, let me start off with you.
Brighton will want to get back into the form they were at the start of the season. And we are, as I said earlier on in the show, we are getting to the business end of the season, and you need your team to start picking up points that will mean everything at the end of the season. And Brighton themselves are in Europe this season. I'm sure they will want to stay there because of what it means at the bank, and what it means for the status of the club generally. Both clubs are in this interesting spot where, like, they were doing well at some points in time. Wolves didn't start the season too well, but their form is picking up. And Brighton started the season well and are having problems now. And I think, like, this game will determine how ambitious both teams are, because they are in a spot where, if with a little push and a little consistency in their form, they can secure a European spot. Wolves are not too far off the European spots when it comes to the points. So I'm sure Brighton will be looking at that too and see that this is a game that Wolves will bring their A game to. I expect Brighton to take control of this game as it is at home and impose their game on Wolves. But they should be wary of Wolves' threats, especially on the break, because Wolves have players that can harm that Brighton backline, especially with the type of line Brighton like to play. So I'm expecting an exciting game. I think Brighton will win this, but it will be by a very, very close margin.
Interesting. Sydney, your thoughts on Wolves? You saw them beat Everton 3-0. Yeah. They've put up some very good performances this season. Yeah. Very, very good performances. Yeah. But they now have to go to Brighton, who are very good at home.
Yeah, they are very good at home, but they are also very sloppy at home. They concede a lot at home. I think they drew a game 0-0, I think, with West Ham recently, but before then, they had gone a very long stretch without having a clean sheet at home. So, and we have seen Wolves coming up very strong since their early shakes in the season. They now have a settled formation. They have a settled way of playing, settled players, and we can see the work that has been put in, especially in the recruitment. The likes of Pablo Sarabia. I think that was a big coup to bring Sarabia in. They have Lopetegui to thank for that, for bringing such a gem to the team and after sacking him, but they still maintain the player. So that shows. I mean, they had a good strategy coming into the transfer.
But would they be bothered by Hwang Hee-chan's absence? He's at the Asian Cup.
They would. I was coming because Hwang Hee-chan has been on red hot form. We saw him against Brentford, the 4-1 when he bagged a couple of goals. We saw him in the FA Cup also against Bournemouth. We saw him against Chelsea. he's been leading the line for them. So that will be a worry for them as to how they will cope in his absence. But they can always push it around. Sarabia, as I said, is there. Sarabia, I've seen him operate as a striker, even for the Spanish national team, playing as a kind of false nine position. We can see them playing without a recognized striker, but with that fluid front three formation going on over there. So there are a couple of toys for Gary O'Neill to play with coming over there. And because they are a team full of form, full of confidence, right? And sometimes it doesn't really matter who is playing. If the team is infused with that shot of confidence, you can find out. You can even put Craig Dawson up top, and he might even get a goal for you. So that's going in their favour coming to this game, and they're coming against a team, Brighton. As I've said, their defence is not that solid. They would have hoped for more at this point in their season. Coming into this season, doing so well last season, all the hype around their manager, you'd have expected them. So which is why sometimes when you're looking for the next big manager for one of these big clubs, and I see all these names bandied about, it's not that easy because the way he's doing right now, if he was put in a hot seat like United, you'll be hounded for his head right now. But he's at Brighton. I mean, we know he's capable, but he's not been doing it even on and off. But nobody's really calling for his head because
I mean, he's not working with the same budgets people.
Yeah, but I mean, if you work with a huge budget,
I think
clearly comes with scrutiny.
Well, the budgets, yes, but talk about the performance of the team. I mean,
I think he always gets a pass because it is Brighton.
Exactly.
I guess he has credits in the bank too.
Exactly. That's laser focus on him. It's not as much because if the tabloids was writing about him every single day, that this and that and that and that, you see how different he is. But we'll come back to the game. Brighton, they haven't looked too good. They did get the good win against Spurs recently, the 4-2 victory. But apart from that, they'll be looking a bit shaky. So I expect a very high-scoring game. I think a high-scoring draw, maybe 2-2 in this game because both teams they can get goals and they're not that great behind. So.
Well, Brighton have a huge advantage in the head-to-head. They've won 4 out of 5 meetings, right? So they've beaten Wolves in 4 out of 5 meetings. That should give something to Wolverhampton Wanderers for them to think about because their record is not looking good against against Brighton and Hove Albion. All right, so interesting game. So you can catch all these games on Citi 97.3 FM. We'll come back to the fixtures later, maybe for some predictions. But let's get into the next part of the show, which is the debate. Welcome to the debate on the Premier League Preview Show. Today, we have 2 questions. Question number 1, we're asking if Kevin De Bruyne is the catalyst to Manchester City's dominance. Is he the catalyst to Manchester City's dominance? City have they've not looked in the best form, but they are still in the title equation. In the last few years, that's what they've done. By December, things are a little wobbly. By January, they start to turn on the heat. By March or April, they are already using the afterburners, and then they go and win the league. We're asking if Kevin De Bruyne is the catalyst to Man City's dominance in the last few years. Adam?
I think it's a half-half question. On one hand, you can tell the influence he has on the team. The Newcastle game is an example. He comes into the game. You can tell the confidence of his colleagues shoot up once he's on the pitch. You can tell they trust him when they are giving the ball to him. The City just looked a different team when De Bruyne came on. On another hand, too, City are a team that are good enough to handle their own without Kevin De Bruyne. So I feel it's a bit of both. Like I feel they need each other. It's a relationship that works well. City are a great team on their own without Kevin De Bruyne, but he just ups the team's level to a different place because we know what he brings with his passing ability. He can strike the ball from distance. He can find runners. And we know Kevin De Bruyne's quality.
That he can do.
He's been doing it consistently. But City are also good enough. I think they've done well enough without him so far this season. But there's no doubt that when he steps onto the pitch and wears that jersey, he takes City to a different level.
Interesting. Sydney, last weekend, and I think Kevin De Bruyne, for those who sometimes make a fuss over what's he good at, and they've seen better players, granted. But I think last weekend, what he did at Newcastle kind of just summed up everything you wanted to know about Kevin De Bruyne, the ability to score and to create almost effortlessly.
Yeah, amazing player, Kevin De Bruyne. We have seen what he has been doing in the Premier League over the past 5, 6, 7 years, and no doubt, he's been, I would say, the best player in the league throughout this period of time. But is he the catalyst? I would say no. I would say it's Guardiola. I mean, it's a very clear answer for me.
See.
Because we saw De Bruyne before Guardiola. I mean, he was doing well. Okay, you can say maybe he wasn't the De Bruyne we know now. Maybe he hadn't garnered all the experience, but he was coming off a great season at Wolfsburg. He came in. He was doing well, but he was doing well. You know, he wasn't doing amazing. But since Guardiola came inside, you can see he had just shot up. And I think it's got to do with the structure he has around him.
Okay.
It's got to do with the style of play Guardiola has imprinted upon the team. And that is bringing out the best in him. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne over the past couple of seasons, we have seen him getting injured.
Yeah.
Even in his absence, that City really weighing off. I mean, they do fall off and they come back. Do they fall off for a consistent period of time? We saw.
No, maybe it's because he doesn't get ruled out for very, very long periods.
This season he has been out for how many months? I'm thinking
Since
about
August.
And look at where they are. They are just, I mean, a point or two away.
But the point is that if he were there, somebody can argue and say they would have probably been 10 points clear.
No, but he was there last season, and at this point they were still playing catch up to us now, and they had to take the last. They had to take City. We know City. They always steamroll when it comes to the business, and they had to take them for that business end to kick in, and for the Arsenal virus to kick in, for them to overtake Arsenal over
And what
there.
is the Arsenal virus?
The elephant to the tree virus that will fall down by all means. So yeah, so the brain is very important, but we have seen Guardiola playing with Alvarez in the brain position. He does amazing. We have seen Guardiola playing with Bernardo Silva in the De Bruyne position. He does amazing. We have seen him play with Phil Foden in the De Bruyne position. That's amazing. So if so many players are doing so well consistently and playing in different positions, I think the credit has to go to the manager for what he's doing in the team and for the awesome guy. Personally, I think he's the best manager we have seen since football started, personally. So I don't think he can be compared to him. No, he can't be compared to him, but I think he's the best, honestly. And it just shows, you see the dominance in the league. This is what we call the best league in the world, the most competitive. Yeah. And it's become like a schoolboy show.
Yeah, but what if somebody makes a counter argument and says that, okay, maybe now, but Alex Ferguson also had an almost vice-like grip on the league. You know, so
he did. But let's see this season, because nobody has won 4 in a row.
4 in a row.
So I think this season
Pep does 4 in a row.
He has done the treble. In fact, he did the quintuple. He won 5 trophies last season. He won all available trophies. Let's be honest. And this season he have come again, and this is the one, because he did the 3 times in a row and the treble.
So he's done a domestic treble.
Yeah,
he's done 3 in a row. And he's done the
all trophies to be won.
Like, how do you call it?
The
pure treble.
Exactly.
League, FA Cup.
And Champions League.
He's done the European. Has he done the European treble?
He has done the Super Cup. I think hasn't done.
Okay, so he's done the Super Cup.
Super Cup
and
Champions
the Club World Cup
and the Champions League.
So that's like the international.
Yeah,
treble.
you can't get much better than that.
It doesn't get much better.
Yeah, so
but then for me, and to sum De Bruyne up, I think that Newcastle game sums up what he means to the team. Pep made an important point after the game that players like Haaland and De Bruyne win you games, and I think that's the difference. Why I say it's a 50-50 relationship. Both parties need each other, because there are some games this season where I feel if City had a De Bruyne on the field, they win that game because he can come up with something, maybe a long range shot, a defense splitting pass, and like in some games you could see City was missing that. Yeah. And in those games where it comes to the very, very fine margins, you need players like De Bruyne who can take it on their shoulders and win the game for you.
You talk about that, and my favorite Man City player, of course, in addition to Erling Haaland, I love strikers a lot, is Bernardo Silva. And there's a part of me that kind of wishes Bernardo Silva were the guy setting the goal. But look, Kevin De Bruyne, fantastic. So we say that, you say it's Pep Guardiola who's the catalyst.
Yeah, because let's just cast our mind back to the Champions League final, the biggest game in. Okay, let me say biggest game in Man City's history, because they had gone once before, they failed to do it. They're on the cusp of greatness. What happens? Kevin De Bruyne goes off with an injury, but Pep is able to bring in a different player to galvanize the team to eventually cross that bridge and get the trophy that I've been yearning for years. So yes, De Bruyne is very important. He's, I would say, a major reason why they are where they are right now. But if you mention about the catalyst for their dominance, I don't think he's quite there yet.
I see. So, Adam, let me ask you this. So, assuming Pep leaves, when or if, whatever, do you think Man City will be the same team?
Definitely.
Let's assuming that
definitely not.
the same players are there.
No, they won't be the
You
same
don't
team.
think they will be
No.
the same team?
Barcelona is a very good example. Pep left Barcelona, and Barcelona didn't slump, but like they weren't as dominant as they were during the period he was there. I mean, some other coaches came, Enrique came, had the trouble too, but then it just wasn't the same.
You are right. I mean, Barca did go through a good number of coaches.
Yeah.
And it just hasn't been the same. So
Tito.
Yeah, and even then Messi was there,
Valverde.
Suarez, they were all there, but it was never the same.
It was never the
yeah,
same.
so I understand where he's coming from.
I see. But you say it's 50-50.
Yeah, it's 50-50.
And then you say it's
Pep, hands down.
Pep hands down.
Hands down.
I see. Sometimes I think about the wonders Pep could have been doing on the red side of Manchester, but it was never meant to happen.
If we let someone could speak good English.
Alrighty, let's get to the second part of the debate. We'll talk about Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney, now he's coming back after that 8-month ban. So we're asking, can he hit the ground running after not playing football for what, 8 months? 8 months. Can he hit the ground running? Can he? Adam?
Hit the ground running would be too much to ask for him. I think footballers are human beings. A lot of people forget that they are not machines. So he will need a little bit of game time to get back into the place he was when he got on his injury. But I don't think it will take too long a period for him to get back to his old ways. I think he's a very, very good player. I think with a few games, maybe some 25 minutes running one game, starting another game, in about 3 games, I think he should be up to speed. I see him as a very, very sharp player who understands what the stakes are now. And in his recent interviews, you see how he's speaking about how Brentford have been really supportive of him. He speaks about highly of his coach, how humane his coach is. His coach calls him. He says his coach is pretty much like his friend. So I feel like he has a lot on his shoulders. He feels like he has to replay the club. So I don't think it would take too long a period for him to get back to his form. But I don't think he'll hit the ground running immediately. I think it's take just a little bit of time, but not too long a period.
And yet he has dreams of playing for clubs that can win trophies. What a way to thank the club that's showing you support.
No, but you have to be ambitious at the end of the day. You have to be ambitious. And with a player of his quality, if it would have bothered me if he lacked ambition. I think people have been calling Harry Kane out for not leaving Spurs earlier on, and I feel like he sees himself as a player of that sort, that if he stays too long in a spot like that, he might almost become like Harry Kane, who is around 30 and now moving to a Bayern Munich. I don't think he wants to end up like that. So I'm happy he's saying things like that. You can tell he's hungry. I've even heard him speak about the fact that he will want to be the striker starting for England, and that's bold, knowing the kind of players who are in the England squad currently. So it just shows that he believes in his ability and he wants to do the best for his club.
Sydney?
Yeah, I think he'll hit the ground running.
Okay.
I really think he would, because he's been out. He's not been injured. I mean, because of all the field issues, and I believe all this time away from the field, he's been putting in that work. And Ivan Toney, he strikes me as that kind of guy who come on, see what he got suspended for. He was betting on himself. I mean, they always say bet on yourself and you succeed.
He took it literally.
That's how confident he is.
Yeah, and I love that place, that self-confidence. I mean, they back themselves against anybody. They back themselves, and you can see from his interviews recently, you can see from the way he holds himself, you can see from the manner or the status he believes he is. So, and he's been backing it up. He's not just scoring goals, he's creating assists, he's bringing players into the game, he's bullying defenders. I think he's as close to a close package of a striker as you can get in the modern day football. And I think he's a guy with an itch. I mean, he's been itching to come back. He has a bone to pick with the higher ups, because I think he feels like he's been hard down by, he feels aggrieved by what happened. And I think he'll be itching to come back on and prove all of them wrong, to tell them that, well, you tried to bring me down, but here I am. I've not been moved by you. So I think he has that kind of mentality, that kind of psyche. And I won't be surprised if on his first game back, he does get a goal on assist. And this is not the first time we have seen lengthy bans outside football for people. We saw it for Cantona for his off-the-field issues. He came in straight on. He was just scoring goals, giving assists, and with his infamous celebration. So I won't be surprised to see Tony come back, get a goal in front of his adoring Brentford fans who he loves but can't wait to get away from. And I think he would bounce back running.
Since you are saying yes, the question I throw to the two of you is, Brentford have had to adapt and play without Toney, do you think they would want to continue, or they'll quickly revert to type?
If you have a player of Tony's quality in your team, you make the most of it. I don't think they will want to still keep doing things the way they were doing without him. You have somebody of that quality back in your team, you make use of him immediately. Because I don't think they want to get to a point where they'll look back and they'll say, no, should we have done this, we would have been in a better position. So the moment he comes back, try and integrate him as fast as possible and get the most out of him. Because he's a quality player, he can get you goals. Some teams like Arsenal could use a player of his quality.
I've heard the Arsenal link with Ivan Toney. And the question I keep asking is whether or not he's a fit. I don't know if you guys have thought of that, whether he fits what Arsenal do right now.
I have thought of it to an extent, but you know, Toney, he's a man of many talents. He can do the hard work, he can do the silky, sexy football stuff as well. And this Mikel Arteta team, although it's a well-formed team, it's not yet formed. I mean, I think there are still pieces they can put inside there to make the team a very solid team all around. So there's still some room for improvement. And I think if he were to go over there, there's some room where he can bring his assets onto to bear over there and help them. I mean, the food is still cooking. It's still cooking. He can just be the spice on top of it.
I see.
Make it
I think he's intelligent enough to adapt to a team like Arsenal. I think it will not be straightforward. Should he go to a team like Arsenal, I don't think it will be straightforward, but I think he'll adapt. I think he's a smart player. And I don't think the kind of associative play Arsenal like, give and go, pass and move, I don't think it's something beyond Toney. I think it's something he can get well into. And Arsenal, I consistently say this throughout the season, Arsenal are begging for a striker who can put the ball away when they need it. Because they have players who can score goals, but when they absolutely need it,
they don't have that
guy. City have that guy in Haaland. Liverpool have that guy in Salah when he's fit. Now he's injured.
Arsenal don't.
But Arsenal don't, and it's worrying because to win a title, if you look through all those seasons, almost everybody had that gun man. They had that player that they could count on, that this is the man who gets the goals for my team on the day. And Arsenal need that. You can't have a striker who openly says that his strongest trait is not scoring goals. That's worrying. You need somebody who is confident in his ability like Toney. So I feel like should he go to a team like Arsenal, he'll not. I don't think he'll hit the ground running straight away, but I think he'll adapt because Arsenal is a team that have their own style of play that differs from the way Brentford play. But I think over time, should he go there, he can adapt.
All right, we'll see what happens to Ivan Toney as he makes his return from a lengthy ban of football. That's how we end today's edition of the Premier League Preview Show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Carr. I had Kelvin Edem-Kai and Sydney Antonio as my guests. We'll catch you next Friday with another exciting episode. Keep watching Citi TV. Remember, the Premier League is live on Citi 97.3 FM. There's AFCON commentary as well for you to enjoy. And there are all these wonderful sporting programs, AFCON Daily Show, and this show, Football Made in Ghana, and all others on this network. Enjoy your weekend. We'll catch you next Friday with another episode. Take care and stay safe.